So I have the great pleasure to be on CUSW's Communications Committee, and there was a lot of work that was done almost 8 years ago, but there hasn't been a whole lot that's gone on. So we got together on my committee. We have Chris Stevens, Chris Gada, and our liaison is Kevin Forbes. So that's us right now. We might have some other people. We were talking to Joe Cook. He is interested in helping us with some of the website stuff, so we're going to have some collabs coming up. One of the lines we came up with is that we are CUSW's linchpin to success. When you look at any of the printouts that have the little bubbles with the arrows between them, every arrow is actually something that the Communications Committee would be involved with. They're just arrows, but Chris and I were talking about this last night, and we're like, yeah, that's something that our Communications Committee will do. Our mission is to develop a strategy and implement effective internal and external communications to advance CUSW community's vision, mission, goals, and objectives. We work with the National Executive Board, units, committees, staff, and consultants to meet, advise, and facilitate the internal and external communications needs of CUSW. But anything that we decide to do as a committee, it is all built on Article 2, what we're trying to achieve as a committee. A lot of the things that we are trying to achieve have to do with membership growth, employer growth, living standards of working conditions, collective agreements, democratic unions, progressive legislator, and a more democratic Canada. Now, you might look at some of those and go, well, that's another committee's scope. But we, as a committee, are here to be collaborative. Every committee we are going to be working with, so even though we don't decide the direction it's take, we can point out communications gaps, needs that you may or may not notice, and then ultimately it's up to the committee to pursue whether they want our help in certain things. So some of the things we want to talk to you about and what we want out of you after this weekend. When can we communicate with you via Zoom and begin hearing your plans and needs? We are going to be setting up doing a whole bunch of interviews and polling which each of the committees. What are your goals, objectives, and tactics to advance CUSW's goals? And again, what communications needs have you identified internally and externally? Start thinking about it, because we need this to work. As a union, we need to start talking more. We need to start getting our messages out there. We need to start solidifying what our messages are for our members and to explain to other people. So some of our goals in the next year that we want to achieve, there's just really the 3 and 4 of us if you count our liaisons. So there's only going to be so much you can achieve with yourselves. So one of the things that we first want to do is there's 3 target committees that we especially want to work on. We want the feedback of the other committees, but specifically growth and opportunity, membership and working rules, as well as the training and trust fund. We kind of identified these as some of the areas that are most critical in needing some communications aids. We want to help improve stakeholder satisfaction. So stakeholder would be anybody who's kind of a spokesperson for us, anybody who is involved with the union, our members, our employers. We want to make sure that we understand a baseline of what their satisfaction is. Are we doing well? What can we do to do better? We need polling to help us. Map and refine proven processes and structures. As I said before, we have had a lot of stuff that has been done in the past. But now things are needing tweaking, like the website needing updating. We want to help other units, committees improve internal and external communications capacity and help raise current members and employers' understanding of whom we are. So our goals. We are going to, first off, the first thing that we want to do, we kind of just really formed and have been getting things underway. So kind of just around the convention, we just kind of have solidified what are some of the things we want to do. So in the next year, a big part of what we're going to be focusing our intentions on is consulting units and committees regarding their needs. So we're going to be sending out polling. We're going to be sending out questions. And it will be very, very helpful for all of you who are involved on committees to answer these. What polling does is it allows us to make a mark in the sand and figure out where we are. And, well, is this thing that we're doing actually working? Is it making people in the committees happier? That's why we need a baseline of information through the polling. We're going to document and update the primary processes and activities for all the units and committees, and review CUSW's current communications materials and channels. We did some polling amongst ourselves to figure out where we most want it to focus our interests and our energy. So number one for all of us got consulting units and committees regarding their communication needs. So as I said, the three key committees we want to immediately start working with is growth and opportunities training, working rules, and membership. Now we're gonna, we want what they have as suggestions for their working things that they need for communication issues, but we also may have some ideas, and ultimately it is up to them whether they want to pursue it or not. We're going to be doing interviews, meetups, Zoom meetups. We want to find out everybody's needs. So, and number two is documentation and update the primary process and activities for all units and committees. So we've heard over this weekend that there is a big need to modernize the website, make it more intuitive to our needs and intuitive for use. We have been transitioning out of using WebEx to Zoom, which is a by far much easier way to have online meetings. The third thing is we want to review CUSW's content and communications. So, for example, any of the Facebook groups, are they meeting our members' need? Could they be improved? What is it that's going to make that utility something that's going to work for our members and make them want to use it? Stakeholder and influencer mapping. This is talking about employers' current and potential or desired, and members' current potential and desired. And there's other people, but we want to look into where are areas we will find these members that share these values and beliefs. So obviously that's something the Growth and Opportunities Committee does, but anything that we can aid in presenting our message and their message and maybe identifying areas that they don't notice yet. And again, suggestions. We're working as a collaborative, in a collaborative way. Key message development. We're going to be developing and improving catchphrases. There's already lots out there. How we can best describe whom we are in order to achieve CUSW's goals. So Joe was talking about in the workshop the difference of the semantics between volunteer and participate. So that right there, this is the way that we're going to be working with catchphrases. It's how people take things, and just because something works well for the message, is that how people are reading it? Is there ways that we can tweak words and use different words that are going to get the output or help us achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve? Update of the website. So we need to modernize that website, the portals and everything we're using. There's issues with it, so we're going to be starting to identify most critical issues on the website. And one thing we have talked about is creating an information dump. We have a lot of members who are highly skilled that have all this information, and when you have a certain problem, it's call that guy. Well, we don't want it to be about call that guy anymore. We want that information on a place that any member can look up and then go to access. Ultimately, that's part of our goals in updating the website. Seventh on the list is interpersonal group and communications training, consensus, nonviolent communication. So just a little bit training to help us in our committees to better work together. We want to do social media training, which would be working, say, with Carolyn Hart to develop a social media policy, just reviewing all the different jump-off points we're starting to use, and just do some training for the individuals who are using those on behalf of the union. We'd like to eventually also have e-newsletter, possibly quarterly, that's internal. It'd be an update on what us and all of the other committees are doing, what they're working on, what they've achieved, and also maybe a spotlight on resources that are already available to our members. For example, bestdoctors.com, which we have all this great stuff and all the stuff that all of you have worked on bringing to our members, but maybe it's just not always noticed. And the majority of our members just don't actually even realize it's there. So that could be aided immensely by an e-newsletter. Communication committees, virtual, in person. And we have 3 more things. Consultation of current members and employers. This is kind of a lot lower on the list. As I said, it's just the few of us. So we'd like to get to consulting all of the members of CUSW. We want to poll everybody. What do they want? Like, what are their needs through all of the things we're doing? It will be coming down the pipe, but we will be polling and interviewing all kinds of members. And if, you hear somebody in one of your work, well, why do I need to answer this? Just, it's going to help us work towards our goals and all of our goals for CUSW. We need to understand who our membership is, what they're doing, what they need, because if we don't have that information, we're not going to be able to have a way to point us to how we're improving. Media training. So this is for representatives of each of the 12 units and National Executive Board. It could also be said that it's a spokesperson training. So for people, say, speaking at conferences, maybe like the Green Energy Summit, picking up awards, et cetera, training to think on one's feet. So all of the individuals who are involved with our committees, they should be able to with ease explain who we are, like what we do, what we want. So we want it to have a course that is going to, and that would be working with the training committee to do that. And finally, consultation of potential members and employees regarding their needs. This would be done, obviously, working in conjunction with the growth and opportunities, but we want to grow as a union. We have such something wonderful to offer all of Canadian society. We do need to start looking outside of the traditional areas that we've found members. And where are we going to find these members that are fitting with our values and beliefs? We need to start seriously thinking about it and doing, making some action on that and getting ahead with it, because that's coming down the pipe, and the only way that we're going to pull through this and be the tough ducks that we are is that we're going to have to start changing how unions are traditionally done, and the best way is finding people who have our values and beliefs and who are in non-traditional areas that we usually find, and traditional areas. We just need more people. We need to hit those streets and start getting that membership up, people. Yep. Thanks.